Hey, you're listening to Rising into Mindful Motherhood. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, integrative fertility health coach, and lover of all things nature and animals. I'm on a mission to have intentional conversations about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and beyond. My mindful guest and I will be talking about struggles, wins, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as we enter motherhood. My background in healthcare has shown me how broken our medical system is. My own struggles to become pregnant has shown the lack of support for mamas to be, the lack of guidance for women to have a nourishing and vibrant pregnancy, the isolation, mom guilt, and all the things we hold after bringing baby earthside. I want this platform to be a place where women can feel connected, safe, and supported to share and hear their stories. A place to use our voice to discuss and advocate about what we need and deserve as mothers. So let's dive in, shall we? Hello and welcome to Rising into Mindful Motherhood. Today I'll be chatting with my friend, Dr. Melissa Hetrick. She is a pharmacist, board certified in pharmacotherapy, and is a partner with a company who values bridging the gap with whole, real foods. And today she'll be sharing about her fertility journey, what she's learned, and the passion that transpired on her journey. Welcome, Melissa. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for chatting with me, Katie. I'm so honored to be here with you.
Yeah. So we met at a retreat almost a year ago, last April in Fort Lauderdale. And yeah, it's been wonderful to get to know you and kind of just be in each other's worlds. So happy to have you here. So
Thank
why
you.
don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. So I am one of those people who I started pharmacy school because my mom said, "Hey, this seems like a great idea." And I always loved science. I loved helping people. So, 6 years of school, then joined a hospital inpatient pharmacy where I was content for 15 years. Did all kinds of inpatient settings, oncology, pediatrics, nutrition. We had an operating room satellite were a few of the things I really enjoyed. But along the way, I started to feel that I was destined for more, that I was here for something else, that I always had this itch. I always wanted to do more and more. And ironically, my mom, who sent me to pharmacy school, would always say, "You're never satisfied." And until I met a coach recently who said to me, "Is that bad? That just means you want to achieve and do more." And it was like this light bulb. So I am currently in ambulatory care in the same hospital in the population health department after spending 5 years in an oncology infusion clinic, which I really enjoyed, but was ready again for some movement and some growth. So that is my story.
I love it. And I like to think of the never being satisfied as maybe you're just like a life learner. And
Yes,
that's how I
100%.
have really, become to understand myself is wow, I guess I just really like to learn because like in college it felt so painful, I guess, going through pharmacy school, but now that you can kind of choose what you really want to focus your time on, it's totally different. So I think, yeah,
Right.
you're just a life learner. And I think it's great that if you're noticing that maybe you're not feeling really fulfilled at a certain position, that you are kind of branching out and seeing what other opportunities there are for you, because a lot of people stay in their jobs for years and years and years until they retire and they really didn't like it. So good.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
And I love that you did oncology too. That was definitely, if I went ahead and did a residency, I would have wanted to do one with oncology. I did do some onco rotations and I really enjoyed them as well.
It was something I really, really enjoyed, and I just didn't see growth where I was. But if I can ever get back into the field of oncology, I really would like to. because it's very large. There's so much to learn. There's so many ways you can help your patients, and just the connections with the doctors and the nurses from being in an infusion center. We had a really good connection and team.
Yeah, love it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your fertility journey? Like, where did that begin? What did that look like for you?
So I only got married at 36, so started a little late. And my husband had previously been married and had 2 children. So it was something we had talked about, but there was no sense of urgency. And we were just, getting to know each other in the married life. So I'm now 44. So, 8 years ago, we, because of my age, immediately had to do IVF, in vitro fertilization. They said no, IUI was not an option for me. And my husband had actually had a vasectomy after his divorce. So that was another kind of bump that we had to get past. So 3 rounds of IVF, probably over 3 to 4 years, 2 different doctors, supplements, Chinese herbs, acupuncture, yoga for fertility, dairy-free, gluten-free, root vegetable juices, and you can't really juice a root vegetable. And that included things like horseradish that I remember my stepchildren were like, "What are you doing? It smells so bad." And just the toughest part, one of the toughest parts, I would say, is the lack of communication and support from the healthcare system. I didn't understand, even as a pharmacist, what I was doing. I completely messed up my insurance and blew through any money that they gave, and did not understand. To the extent that I remember one time driving to New Jersey to pick up medications from another woman who was done with her journey, and posted on Facebook, "Hey, I have this medication. Does anybody want it?" For free. And I remember going into the doctor's office, and the weirdest thing was everybody would line up in the hallway, all the women, and nobody would look at each other. We were all there for the same thing. Why wasn't it this big social event? You were still being ostracized outside of a fertility office? It just still boggles my mind. And support and counseling were just a suggestion. And in retrospect, I should have gone, but I also think I should have been forced to go as part of the program. And I did not find support along this journey until after my second cycle, when my first doctor refused to treat me again. So we had gone through different herbs and supplements, and I had low AMH, so I had low egg counts. We did get an embryo that grew with the second round, and were able to transfer, and it didn't take. And it's one of those moments where you go back and you say, shoulda, woulda, coulda. What did I do wrong? Should I have done this? Maybe I could have done this. And it's hard not to, but I've come to a point where I've accepted and been able to grow and finally talk about it, and hopefully help someone else. And then after that, we went to another doctor. So we went to New Jersey. So I'm in Pennsylvania, driving to New Jersey, back and forth, back and forth. And for anybody that doesn't know that much about IVF and fertility treatments, it was almost daily morning blood work, daily morning ultrasounds, the invasive kind, and then going to work. Talking to my supervisor, who luckily was a good friend of mine. I'm going to be late. I have to go in. And I had no one to talk to at work either. Nobody understood, and nobody was going through it. And if I could offer advice, I would tell women to tell everybody, talk to everybody, get support from everybody. I look back and think of the chain of prayers I could have had
Mm-hmm.
if I had realized that like it was okay to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what really made me realize the strangeness in this office where nobody would look at anybody. I had two coworkers who went through their own journeys after me, and they passed each other in the lobby, and only one of them saw the other one, and then took the chance to say, "Hey, I saw you at the doctor's office this morning. Would you like to talk?" And like, I think that's amazing that they then found each other, and then you just started to see and hear how many other women in one small department in the pharmacy were going through fertility problems. And I'm so grateful that they had each other.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was a long journey, and it was hard for me to share because we were able to conceive.
Mm-hmm.
And that was difficult for me to talk about because along the way, I started one of the things that I am now extremely passionate about is healthcare with whole food nutrition, like you said in the beginning. And I really am focusing my career and my life on prevention of disease versus treatment with tons of medications. And it was hard for me to share a healthy lifestyle when I didn't have that baby to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And I think the only part I kept out of the journey when we were finished, they suggested embryo donors or egg donors. And the doctor was so kind, and he is widely recognized in this field and was willing to walk me through how to look for a donor. We talked about how long it would take. I mean, he would call me when we didn't have an appointment, and how long it would take. And it was just too much money at that point. And we ended up doing a vasectomy reversal for my husband and to just try naturally. So go back to ovulation testing and try naturally. And I did fail to say that was his second surgery because obviously because of the vasectomy, they have to go in and actually surgically take out sperm to fertilize the egg. So so he was not benign to everything that was going on with all the injections and surgery, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I was going to ask, just for clarification, if you had tried naturally before jumping to the IVF, but is that the reason why they said IVF first because of the vasectomy?
Yes. So we never thought about, not that we didn't think about it, but it wasn't a first step to do the reversal.
Okay.
It wasn't, I'm sure it was explained to me that IVF would still be difficult with the numbers I had, but I just don't feel like I ever got the most support. And, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more, but I even said to you after listening to your podcast and getting to know you over this past year, my gosh, like I wish I had you in my back pocket. Like my path could have been completely different
Mm-hmm.
to learn some of the things that I know you share with women, and even some of the things I know now myself. You just didn't know. There was no talk about nutrition, guidance, support, all the things we can do for our bodies besides medications.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said you were 36 when you got married. When did you start the IVF?
Probably 38.
Okay.
I think 38. And it probably went over 3 to 4 years
Mm-hmm.
that we did everything.
Okay. I'm not sure how invasive is a vasectomy reversal.
It was a pretty long surgery.
Really?
Pretty long surgery. So we had to meet at the fertility office. They have, I guess, urologists. I can clarify that for sure. So they did the surgery. It was pretty long, and only one side was successful, which they said was fine.
Okay.
It was an initial follow-up to make sure that everything was working, and it was. And we never did a follow-up after that. We figured we would know if it was working.
Mm-hmm.
So And, the other side of that is men don't like to be told when it's appropriate to try to make a baby. So, it's just, it put a big barrier in our relationship. And interestingly, only from probably being home stuck together during COVID. So just in the past couple of years, we talked about it again. And I said, I'm 90% okay with all of this, but understand that this still hurts me and sometimes still like pegs me right in the heart. And,
Yeah.
if you don't talk about it, somebody doesn't know how you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
and how impactful this can be on a woman's life.
Yeah. Did you have any like family members that you leaned on, any close friends, or what did that look like?
Definitely my parents, but like I said, not as much as I should have. And I mean, I have two sisters, so they were incredibly supportive. But no, I did not go through my church or any social groups. By the time we made it to our third cycle of IVF, I had found a Facebook group because the office in New Jersey ran a support group. And it was amazing. I was like, where have these people been? This was great, to have them and just bounce things off of other women and getting to know other women that were struggling and felt just like you, and realizing that it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
that bizarre. It wasn't that unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely can understand and relate to what you went through. I mean, my journey is different than yours, but I didn't share with anyone. And that's a huge thing that I regret. It was really only my husband who obviously knew. But I look back and I have two older sisters, and my oldest sister, she actually had to undergo IVF to get pregnant with my nephew. And my second oldest sister, she has two kids now, but she did have a miscarriage in between.
Oh, wow.
Like, out of all people, they would have, definitely understood, but I decided to kind of keep it to myself and not share it.
Okay.
So I can, I feel like as women, we just try to carry the burden and not talk about it and just put a strong face on. And I think that there's, at least for me and a lot of women I've spoken with, like almost a sense of shame around it.
It's definitely it. I think a lot of women feel shame because I think most women grow up feeling that that's creating a family is what you're meant to do when you grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And, everybody's different. Some people never want children, and some people, we all have different upbringings that, maybe children are not the best to bring in. But I think to me, it just, and this is my personal opinion, it just feels like it's something that is biologically inside of me. Oh, like women were meant to reproduce. So when you can't, you know, it does feel shameful, and it is a big stressful event.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I am so grateful for outlets like this that to share in the work that you do to help women understand it.
Yeah, thank you. I think community is huge in terms of any space, really. So many. I mean, whether it be going through fertility struggles, pregnancy struggles, motherhood struggle. I mean, there's so many things that
Right.
I feel like we've lost that sense of community that we used to have. Our great 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 grandparents probably had when communities were smaller but much more tightly knit. And like the old saying, it takes a village, but it really does.
Right. Right. And I think that that's an interesting concept and idea, because I think that's what I feel like if I had told more people and been able to share, gosh, what would have changed? And
Mm-hmm.
maybe the fact of having a baby wouldn't have changed, but my state of mind and my emotional
Yeah.
state could have been different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that plays a huge part. Whether you're undergoing IVF, IUI, or just trying naturally your mindset and your stress levels. Because, if your mindset is toxic and you're really, really stressed, then that's really just going to kind of sabotage
Yeah, just relax. Okay.
your your hormones and your sleep and your sanity and so many things. So
Right.
I want to invite you to my upcoming free transformative 3-day workshop called Unlock Your Fertility Potential. The intent of the workshop is to really help you overcome common fertility setbacks to finally achieve your dream of motherhood. The workshop is packed with evidence-based strategies, expert guidance from myself, and a supportive community of like-minded women who are on the same journey. It is designed for women who are truly ready to take charge of their fertility and optimize their chances of conceiving. Plus, once you sign up, you will instantly receive my exclusive fertility bonus kit and have access to our workshop members only community. And during the workshop, you are going to have opportunities to win prizes such as free coaching, my must-have fertility resources, and exclusive discounts. And this is the first time I've ever done this. I will be offering a very exciting free bonus offer at the end of the workshop. And I have never done this free offer before, but I'm super pumped to just see how it can benefit you on your fertility journey, how it can benefit the women who are saying yes to themselves by signing up and registering to attend this free workshop. But before I give anything away, the link to register is right in the show notes, and please feel free to pay it forward and share with anyone that you think could benefit from it. I know you had mentioned your second doctor was really supportive, it sounded like.
Yes.
So in regards to your first doctor, I'm just curious, did they offer any like supplement advice, any nutrition advice, anything that you really have the control over
Sure.
to improve your chances, or also, the quality of your partner's sperm as well?
I'll start backwards. So I'll start with my partner. That was not from the fertility doctor. I actually started going through acupuncture, and it was we had some Chinese herbs that we were using, tea and Chinese herbs, which he agreed to take. And kind of along the way, that's when we started our nutrition supplement journey. But as far as the doctor recommending supplemental, the only things I started were to try to adjust my hormone levels.
Mm.
So, but just some supplements I ordered from Amazon. And then I believe I did some research myself and started things like maca root and royal jelly. But again, not buying from a health store, I was buying them from Amazon. And then with the second doctor, did more nutritional support, changed my diet, different multivitamins, different prenatal vitamins that were healthier and more supporting. And then he did support the nutritional journey that I was on as well.
Yeah. The second one.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard from a lot of women that they had to ask for that information in terms of supplement and nutrition. And it boggles my mind because you're investing so much money into it. I think it should be an absolute requirement to talk about this.
Right.
To really just make sure that you're doing everything you can at least control to have the best outcomes possible.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that the second one was, more knowledgeable in terms of sharing that information, and that they had a support group as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
And that it sounded like they were calling you outside of appointments and just being really generous with their time as well. So that makes me happy. I know that there are some good ones out there.
Yes. And he would have kept going if I wanted to continue the journey. He said he would continue to support me.
Mm-hmm.
But, we decided to just take it as it was and go natural and see what happened.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that. How long did you guys try naturally?
Hmm. I would say probably another good 6 months to a year where I really paid attention to my cycle and did the ovulation testing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out I'm extremely regular, so that was good. But then you're doing that, and then you read all kind of stuff like you should lay like this, you should sit like this, it's this day, that day, and um, that just gets draining on a relationship as well. But I don't think there was ever a verbal confirmation of we're going to stop trying. It just stopped being regimented because that's how it becomes.
Yeah.
You ovulate, and there are certain days when it is good to try to conceive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it just kind of happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I know you mentioned you both talked about it, during the pandemic. So within the last couple of years,
Right.
anything kind of come up for you on his end or your end that you really didn't realize? Because I know sometimes men can be a little, hold their emotions back a little bit. So maybe you didn't realize how much it was affecting him or something like that.
I know going through it, and even then when we had talked during the pandemic, I don't think he ever really understood how much it affected me and how much I was actually going through. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think even during that first cycle, I would go in the bathroom and do my injections. Like, why am I hiding?
Mm,
I'm with my spouse that we agreed to do this process with. Why am I hiding in the bathroom, giving myself 4 injections every day?
yeah.
Um, and I remember watching a Netflix series on a couple that was trying to conceive, and we watched it together. And he just said, "Wow, I'm sorry, I didn't get it. I didn't know."
Wow.
And I think it just really expanded our relationship and helped us learn to communicate and talk more
Mm-hmm.
and made us closer. I probably did miss his emotional level or frustration during the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I
so,
love that you say that kind of from this experience, you learned like that communication needs to be kind of a bit more of a priority.
oh yeah.
Looking back on it, is there anything else that really came about as like a learning phase for you?
Is there anything else that came about as a learning phase for me through this process? Okay. I think I think being on this fertility journey really helped solidify my wellness journey with taking care of myself, with
Mm-hmm.
exercise, nutrition, meditation, yoga. And I think by doing that has really helped me to learn to trust myself and to love myself, despite the fact that this was something you wanted and you initially felt shame. I
Mm-hmm.
think it helped me learn how to love myself and be confident in myself. And, just going back to what we said about the support system, just realizing there are support systems out there for anything we're struggling with, whether it is your family, a social group, a group in person, a group online, just learning to always reach out, being that perpetual learner, like we talked about in the beginning. I'm always looking for something new.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I go? How can I learn more? How can I make this better? And coming out of it, and then meeting pharmacists and women like you and all these amazing women I've met over this past year or so, just learning more about pharmacy, it's just been amazing. And if I hadn't ever shared that journey or gone through that journey, I may never have been in this position to expand my own life and career, and let alone meet all these women that are doing amazing things in pharmacy that I didn't even know were possible a year or so ago.
Absolutely. So would you say between now and then when you were trying, has there been a really big shift in terms of like your mental and your physical health?
I think so. I think I'm probably healthier now from back when I was trying, because I think I probably did that thing where dairy-free, gluten-free meant processed food, rather than now when I say dairy-free, gluten-free, and, I'm actually in the middle of a program with my healthy community right now. Dairy-free and gluten-free to me means whole food, means a salad, means a meal without, you don't need gluten. I can have rice, I can have potato. I don't need to have gluten-free bread. So I think it's actually grown my understanding of nutrition and what real food is. And I've come to accept my physical body even for what it is. I think for years I was like, oh, I'm gaining weight because I had hormones for so many years. And then just with physical and mind care, you have to love yourself where you are. And I think when you start to love yourself, your body actually begins to become what you wanted it to be anyway. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I'm more physically fit because I've accepted where I am, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, no.
And my sister dragging me to the gym doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you're happy. You're happy in your own body. You're comfortable in your own body. And that's really where that self-love comes in. And I think, yeah, when you love and accept yourself, I do think that things just tend to kind of fall in place instead of a lot of toxic thoughts, a lot of like self, hatred speak in your head, nitpicking at every little thing about yourself. So yeah, just like the overall self-esteem and everything. So that's beautiful. I love to hear when someone goes through something like you did and you didn't necessarily get the result that you wanted, that you still grew and you still went through a transformation, and that you are aware of that. Because I think if you don't have that awareness, that's a gift, like another gift that you've lost through the struggle that you went through. So I'm really, really happy that you have that awareness and that you've really kind of come out on the other side in terms of your overall health, mind, body, spirit. And I know that this has kind of transformed your professional journey as well. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that and, how that has kind of trickled down. I remember you sharing with me, you did start a certain type of supplement to really kind of help you on your fertility journey. And now that's something that you're sharing with other people to help them, not necessarily with fertility, but with their overall health and preventative care, like you were mentioning.
Right. So that's, I started with a whole food, fruit and vegetable capsule going through this fertility journey. And that's why I started. And for a while, well, I'll just say, but that's why I started. It was something my sister used. It was something a friend of hers told her about. And the friend was a health advocate, a sports enthusiast. And I thought, hey, if she's using this, it's not going to hurt me. Ironically, looking back, I didn't take it how I was supposed to. And when you use it as a prenatal, you take even more. So it for a while, it was one of those, well, if I would have taken it the right way, well, if I would have taken more. But I realized even without a baby to show, I felt better. My skin looked better. I wasn't tired. My body was changing. And I really noticed and attributed to that. And like you said, started to change my career because I eventually joined the nutrition business on the side of my full-time pharmacy career. And it is just crazy because I feel like finally in my 40s, I have met my tribe of people and I don't know what I'd do without them. And it's one of the positives that I attribute to COVID because without Zoom and without being stuck at home, I would not have these friends all over the country that I consider my best friends with or without the business, but they just light me up and share and from all walks of life. And yeah, it really allows me to share with other people. So it's given me that outlet and that mission to be able to share whole food
Mm-hmm.
with people. And there's really nothing that it's not going to help you with, and it's not replacing what you're eating. But as you said in the beginning, we're bridging a gap between what we do eat every day and what we should be eating, because it's really hard to get the recommended 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. Even if you're a vegetarian, you could be a really bad vegetarian. So it's really been an amazing spot for me to learn. And now coupled with working in ambulatory care and meeting with patients and reviewing their medications and their lifestyles, I don't mesh the two. That I talk to my patients about that, but I talk to them about nutrition and I talk to them about wellness, stretching, yoga, meditation, and just overall healthy eating. So it
Nice.
allows me to do that. And I'm learning so much from both of them. I really just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it sounds like just having that overall awareness around nutrition and lifestyle is really weaving in really nicely in terms of both of your jobs and your passions.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful because I think, working, I mainly worked in retail pharmacy out of college. So working in that setting, people coming to pick up their statins or their diabetes medication. And when you're the only pharmacist on, filling so many prescriptions, talking to doctors, talking to insurance, counseling, administering immunizations, like you don't have the 20 minutes
I have the time.
or more that it would take to really educate someone on what they need to know. And I think another issue too is people even wanting to do that, because they need to want it to make the change.
Right.
So it's really nice that you are in that ambulatory setting and maybe you have a little bit more contact with them to kind of mention it on their way. I'm not sure what it looks like for you, but that's cool if you can at least
Yeah.
plant that seed for them.
They have to want it. And I'm probably still naive in my position, but that's okay. I used to I used to make fun of my mom and tell her she had rose-colored glasses on because she was so positive. And then I grew up a little more and I was like, okay, that's not a bad place to be. I'm okay being here positive, being positive. And if it appears to make me a little naive and talking to somebody about health and wellness and they don't really want to hear it, or they are, just saying they're going to do it and not going to do it, that's okay. I still put the bug in there. I planted a seed and hopefully one day, that plant will grow for them.
Absolutely. So I know you had mentioned a freebie. So would you be able to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Sure. So we do offer tons of e-cookbooks, recipe books, mocktails, shakes, snacks, as well as access to free exercises and programs for children, which can all be accessed through our Facebook group. But I would prefer I connect with people first personally through my own personal social media. And then I also have samples I always give out. I love to connect with people personally, find out what their journey is, what they're looking to make better, and then I can find the correct supplements and plan for them.
Absolutely. And where can the audience connect with you? And I'll be sure to put everything in the show notes.
Sure. So I'm on Facebook as my name, Melissa Hetrick. On Instagram and YouTube. Instagram, you can find me at Melissa_healthy habits. And then I share a YouTube page with my sister, and it's Healthy Habits with the Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So we share something we do called Sister Sunday, where we just started doing these talks with each other. Now it's every other Sunday, and they're usually health related, sometimes just funny and um, interesting. We're always learning something. And then we have started creating shorter, just healthy, inspiring videos for our network weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's a mocktail, a healthy recipe, something where we use our protein powder, or just informational, we just enjoy sharing with people.
Mm-hmm. I have seen, I know at least one of your videos together, and I think you two are adorable. And it's fun.
Thank you.
It's fun to watch, and I love that you do that together because I think, sometimes as siblings, you can live your own life and get caught up in the chaos of life and be busy. So I think it's really nice that you guys do that, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly. That's a really fun thing to do with each other.
Thank you. And I will say the business that her and I are in together has really grown our relationship. We were always close when we were young, but just, to be in your 30s, 40s. And I talk to her every morning. It's our partner check-in. Our business says, get a buddy. So she's my buddy. So she'll text me or she'll call me, by like 7:15 in the morning. So we chat for a couple minutes, and it's our daily check-in. And it really has just grown us, spiritually and physically. And I just wouldn't change anything of this journey. And I'm just happy that I have an outlet to share it, and that I've figured out a way to share it. And I hope that my journey and my story can help other women in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think connecting every morning, that's really great for accountability, motivation, and even just overall mental health. Like, I'm sure if there's something going on with either one of you, you guys share it and help
Right.
lift each other up. So that's really
Right.
nice. I love that.
Definitely.
So you also have a very different but very giving hobby.
I
Can you
do.
tell us about that?
Sure. So, a few years ago, I started volunteering at an animal rescue, and it was always something I wanted to do. And started small, just cleaning at the local pet store once a week, and turned into volunteering on Saturdays, turned into take this cat home. Why don't you foster it? So the rescue I volunteer with is a foster-based rescue, meaning all of the animals are in our homes. So we have one pet store where we can have up to 4 cats there. And it's a rescue that focuses primarily on cats and dogs. So we have fosters that have dogs in their home. And what people sometimes don't understand when you say rescue is literally these animals are being rescued from bad situations, whether they are, strays outside, or we just took in a bunch of puppy mill dogs that, need to learn how to poop outside. They don't know how to do these things. So that has turned into probably 5 years of me fostering. I don't even know. I used to keep count and I stopped, but I will say it's well more than 100 cats that I've had in my home, and either just nurtured them where they are, or brought them back to health, or watched them fade and eventually pass. But it's extremely rewarding to find homes for them. And I've made some great friends there. You make connections with the people because I like to keep in touch. Most of the fosters like to keep in touch with their families they adopt to.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, I've also acquired a colony of 8 feral cats that live in my backyard. So they have shelters out there. And while we're filming this, it's dark and I didn't feed them yet. And they're probably down there waiting for me, wondering where their dinner is. So that has been an interesting learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's amazing what you do,
Thank
and
you.
we will have cats come up to our house too, and it's nice to be able to do that for them. We have two cats, and they are not welcoming to other cats, so we are not able to bring any
Yeah.
in our house, but I think that that's like, I remember you telling me a story about you have like a special room, right? Like
Yep.
a bathroom where you kind
Yep.
of
So I have,
integrate
we
that
actually have a
different.
fourth bedroom that I use as my office, my yoga space, and then it's my foster room.
Yeah.
So the only downside of having it as your office is you have to scoop the litter before you want to sit down and do some work.
Yeah.
But it gives me the opportunity to really observe them so
Hmm.
that when they are going to families, I know their personalities, I know what they like,
Hmm.
which cats need to go together, who needs to go by themselves. And yeah, it's funny because you and I, it's another thing you and I bonded over was cats. So it definitely is rewarding, but it is emotionally and physically exhausting at the same time, and financially exhausting sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah.
I know that we mentioned there's two ways that people
Mhm.
could donate to this cause. If you could tell us about that, and I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Sure. So we are a very small rescue in Pennsylvania. So it's called Starting Over Animal Rescue. And we have ways to donate on our website. We have many medical cases. We take a lot of medical cases, which just adds up. A lot of the cats and dogs we take are surrenders that people can't pay for, which is really a heartbreaking story. I also have a personal PayPal account as well as an Amazon wish list that I use for my fosters as well as my outdoor feral cats. And if I'm in excess, I share with the other feral colonies in the area.
That's great. Well, thank you for doing that
Thank
because
you.
it's winter. I know you get cold weather in Pennsylvania
Yeah.
too, and it's cold. So those kitties need food and shelter too. So,
Yes.
well, thank you so much for sharing your story and
Thank
your
you.
passion with us today, Melissa. Do you have any final words for the audience to leave them with?
Oh goodness. That's probably the biggest question. No, I think I'll just focus on what you and I talked about, just sharing. Don't be afraid to share. Don't be afraid to tell your story.
Hmm.
And if you can't find the support system where you are, keep looking. Don't stop. Find one person and just keep moving from there. You're not alone in this journey, and the more we can share, the more light we can bring to it and hopefully prevent infertility in the future and just make it easier for women to follow their dreams if that is their chosen path.
Hmm. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast. If this episode resonated with you or gave you an aha moment, stop what you're doing right now and write a review. This simple act of kindness helps me get this podcast out to connect with as many women as I possibly can. I also have a special offer. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I will take $250 off one of my premium coaching containers. Let me know what resonated with you the most and why. So connect with me in my free Facebook community or tag me on Instagram. You'll find both listed below. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you next time.